Good evening and welcome to the Midnight Campfire. I'm your host, KB. Come and take a seat. The night air is settling in and it is almost midnight. I do apologize. I am a little stuffy. My allergies are a little bit out of this world today. I wish I could just get rid of them, but I can't. And speaking of wishes, there is an old temptation that has followed mankind for as long as stories have been told. The wish for one more chance. It is a comforting thought, though, the idea of changing something in our past to right something and make everything better. Until we begin to wonder what changing the past could truly do. Our story tonight follows an ordinary man who comes into possession of an extraordinary lamp, one capable of carrying him through time. At first, it seems like a gift beyond measure, but as the years pass, he discovers that time is not so easily bargained with, and that every journey demands a price. For when a man spends his life chasing what might have been, he may one day awaken to find that what will be is far more terrifying. Tonight's story is titled, Light the Lamp for Me. I think you're going to like this one.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. The American Broadcasting Company presents Quiet Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper, and which features Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please for today is called Light the Lamp for Me. They say that my historical books, my stories based upon happenings in the past, are extraordinarily vivid. They say they're minutely accurate, that they read as if I'd actually been there, seen the happenings in person. They say that my descriptions of the early days of the California missions, particularly of the San Fernando mission, are more painstakingly detailed than even the contemporary accounts of the brown-robed Franciscans who lived and labored, prayed and died in the shadows of the adobe walls. They wonder what undiscovered source material I alone have access to. And now the time has come to tell. Do you know San Fernando, La Mission San Fernando Rey de España? With the statue of Father Sarah beside the fountain in the memory garden across the road, the screen door that opens into the musty little office and a sign that reads, Curios. The arches of the cloister, where the cracked plaster shows the ancient adobe bricks, the wrought iron bars on the windows, and the sheep pen down at the end of the cloister where the surly old ram glowers at you through the wire. Do you know the convento and the glass cases of gold-threaded vestments against the walls, the old weapons, the bridles of stirrups, the utensils carved from wood, the sagging old door frames and the wooden steps in the still room? Do you know the still room? The distillery where the old monks make brandy from the sour wine of the valley. The remains of copper pipes and vats in an ancient still, and the wooden platform with steps, worn and eroded by time and countless footsteps, priestly and secular. A cramped, tall room, windowless, faintly odorous on a damp day of the spirit of the grape that was distilled there. The dust of 150 years. The walls covered with names and dates scratched into the crumbling adobe. Jean and Vinnie from Toledo. Kilroy and Harry Bubeck of San Francisco. Staff Sergeant Pearl Parmalee of the WAC. And my cigarette lighter slipped from my fingers as I started to light a cigarette. In the half-darkness of the still room, it bounded into a far corner under the platform. And with an appropriate remark about the perversity of inanimate objects, I went down on all fours and crawled in the dust to retrieve it. And in the farthest, dirtiest corner, of course, and a loose adobe brick alongside it. A brick that concealed a hidden treasure? I smiled briefly at the conceit as my fingers probed in the spaces where the brick had been. And there was something there. A lamp I discovered when I crawled out clutching it. An ancient bronze lamp, green with age. A lamp like those the Romans used. Something like a modern sauce boat. And a musty frayed wick protruding from its snout. Most interesting discovery here in a California mission. I took the lamp to the door of the better to examine it. Made another discovery. The lamp was full of oil. The wick was greasy with it. Here was more than mystery. And, curiously, I flipped my lighter and touched the flame to the wick. Yes. Thunder and darkness around me. And only the tiny flame of the lamp to reveal the yawning door and adobe bricks of the wall. And in its feeble light, the bricks looked newer, cleaner. And the great copper still inside their own gleamed brightly and cast flickering reflections of the ancient lamp back at me. And a voice spoke in my ear.
¿Qué tiene usted, amigo?
He stood close beside me. The soldier in Morianan's steel breastplate, one hand on the hilt of a long, straight sword with a basket hilt. A Spanish soldier of the late 18th century. He was real flesh and blood by the weight of his grip on my shoulder. Now, my Spanish is very limited. This apparition was a very astonishing thing. Astonishing, I thought. Impossible. And I answered him in English. What happened, I asked.
English, huh? English, I mean.
I'm an American. What's going on here?
Well, I'm Irish.
You are?
My name was Peter Paul O'Brien in Galway. Now, I'm Pedro Pablo Otracon, soldier in the armies of His Majesty of Spain, and a lost man as ever was.
I get it. The cinema, huh?
Cinema?
Movies.
I'm afraid I do not understand you, Caballero.
But what made it get dark so suddenly?
It's been dark for near 4 hours, amigo.
What kind of joke is this?
There is no joke.
Well, what?
And you could be telling me how you came in possession of my lamp.
Your lamp?
My lamp.
I'm sorry. I found it in there.
Where I hid it yesterday.
Yesterday? It's been in there 100 years if it's been there a day.
So?
It must have been. Look at it.
Well, perhaps it has been then.
Of course.
Friend, would you be knowing the date?
Date?
The year and the day?
Now?
Now.
Why, September.
I will tell you. September 26, 1799.
Look here.
No. There's no point at all in keeping you in ignorance, amigo. Since you found the lamp and lighted the same.
Go on, friend.
It is my lamp. I found it one day in Spain, and I carried it with me for long years before I found out what were its powers. It was in Granada, I mind, that I first found out. A dark night in the barracks. I bethought myself of the little lamp. And in my mind I was thinking of the days of the Saracens in Granada when I lighted the little wick. And caramba, when it flamed up I was sitting for two of them.
Two of whom?
The Saracens, the Moors, bedad. Scimitars they had, and long spears, and great black beards.
I don't believe it.
Oh, you're here, are you not? From your own time?
What?
You lighted the lamp whilst you were thinking of the old days?
Well,
hear me, man. You've not much more time to listen. That is the power of the lamp, then. Think of a time, and light the lamp, and you're there. Blow it out, you're still there. But light it again, and think of another time, your own belike, and it's like that.
Well, I don't believe
It makes little difference, amigo, what you think. Now give me back my lamp.
Well, now, look here. How do I know it's yours? And how do I know?
I have the means to take it from you. Why, I could run you through.
You wouldn't get away with it? Why, the police would...
Man, listen. Do not be judging events by the standards of your own time, for that is not now. I'll have back my lamp.
I won't give it to you.
It was in me mind to let you live as best you could. A full 150 years before your own time. But I see I must not do it.
Look here, there's such a thing as law.
Be still. But if you blow it out and light it again and wish yourself back where you came from, well, then I'd not have the lamp at all. And since I cannot wish ye back myself, there's only one thing to do.
And he leaned across my shoulder and blew out the lamp. In the darkness, I heard the sound of steel as he drew his sword. I felt the wind from the sword stroke, and my hat was plucked from my head. In frantic reflex, I swung the lamp. It struck flesh and bone. In the dark, I heard a groan, a clashing of steel, as Pedro Pablo Obrejon fell. I waited a long time before I applied my lighter to the wick of the little lamp and thought of home time. And the thunder crashed. And I stood there in the sunny afternoon alone. The old ram blatted, and impatient automobile horn sounded on a highway, and adobe bricks were crumbling and ancient again. And there was a sword cut in my hat I saw as I picked it up. And there was blood, fresh blood, on the base of the little bronze lamp. And so I blew out the flame that flickered so pale in the sunshine. I wiped it off, sat down, and thought, and thought. Days later, when I went back to the year 1799, to a time 2 weeks after my first visit there, when I went back to arrange for masses to be said for the repose of the soul of Pedro Pablo Obrejon, late of Galway, I asked one of the good fathers to translate for me the worn, dim inscription incise into the base of the lamp. It is hard to read, he told me, for the letters are different, old. But it was Latin, and at last he made it out. Praetaritis Codies, futuris sema. The past many times. The past many times. The future but once. And I wondered then. I wished that I'd had more time to talk with Obrejon and learn of his excursions into the past. Whether he had possessed the hardihood to take his one trip into the future. For truth to tell, I myself had not. But I made many trips back and learned many things which you may have exclaimed at in my books. Yes, I was there. I saw John Fremont. Pio Pico was my friend. I saw the marches behind the bear flag in the days of the California Republic. I knew many people whose names are in history now. I knew them and they knew me. And we were friends. You ask how? I have but to light my lamp and think of a time, and I am there. There are only two restrictions. One, that I can change only time, not place. If I wish to see Chicago in the mid-90s, I must go to Chicago. If I would watch the Battle of Hastings in 1066, I must go to England. And the other, I may see the future only once. And I find myself incapable of choosing a time in the future which I would want to see. But let us speak of the past a while longer. Do you know the old Vicente de los Adobe and Encino, where Balboa Street runs into Ventura Boulevard? The long, low adobe house with the thick walls, the broad fountain in the yard. You must have driven past it dozens of times. I lived there with my wife, Concepcion. Conchita Morales, all through the year 1821. I think that was the happiest period of my life. Yes, the little bronze lamp was a priceless gift. A gift that no mortal should ever possess, I'm afraid, for there were certain things. Immutable laws governed it. I have no idea where it came from, who discovered its powers, who fixed its powers, but it brought evil as well as good. Sorrow as well as joy. Punishment, shall we say, for the possession of such transcendent powers. I'd hoped that with the lamp I'd be enabled to live again certain happy days. But I found that once lived, those days were forever gone. I remember how I found it out. It was not always easy to explain my long absences from Conchita and our home in the valley. I couldn't say, Corazon, I had been visiting other times. I did the best I could. Almost always Conchita was satisfied, happy that I'd returned. But there was a time when I'd been away and miscalculated. The time when I came back. It was 6 months later than I thought. The house was dark and silent as I walked up the path. I called, Conchita! Conchita! And there was no answer. Only old Tiburcio, her father, was there, squatting in the darkness. His quavering voice answered me.
Manfredo? Manfredo?
Hold off, Tiburcio. Where's everybody?
You have been gone a long time, Manfredo.
I'm sorry. I meant to come back earlier, but something happened and I... How's Conchita? I'm hungry enough. What's the matter, Tiburcio?
¿Qué dices?
I said I'm hungry. Mucho tengo hambre. What's to eat?
No es nada.
What's that? What's the matter? Where's Conchita?
Conchita is dead.
What did you say, Tiburcio?
She died 4 days ago, Manfredo. Your child was born. And she died.
And I turned and went away. Sat by the fountain for a long, long time. My child would live and die before I was born. My wife. And I dried my tears as I suddenly thought, why, I can bring her back. All I've got to do is light the lamp again, think of a time long before this, and she'll be back. And I did. And I found myself still in the same time with old Tiburcio huddled in the shadow of the house. And Conchita dead. No, there are limitations to everything. If I'd not been such a fool, I'd have thrown the lamp away, come back to my own time to live out my life. But I didn't. I planted an acacia tree beside her grave. You can find it perhaps someday if you're near the old De La Osa house. Today it's withered and dead of old age. I planted it with these hands. It's more than 100 years old. I never went back to the old days at the De La Osa house. I've been past there a number of times. I know where the grave is and the acacia. I know where to find our initials, Conchita's and mine, scratched with a Spanish dagger in the adobe wall when it was soft and fresh. But it's a place of sorrow and remembered happiness for me. And I seldom go there. But I've been many places. I didn't meet George Washington. I talked with Baron von Steuben at Valley Forge, but the general himself was unapproachable. I watched the Custer massacre from the hilltop above the Little Bighorn. Could tell you some interesting facts about that fight. I saw Marie Antoinette mount the steps of the scaffold in Paris and turned away in sick horror. And when I'd lighted my lamp again, I found myself in the midst of a crowd celebrating Lindbergh's flight from the United States. I knew a man in New York named Sidney Breeze, and I sat in an old house where a skyscraper stands now and watched Sidney carving his own tombstone. You can see the tombstone yourself if you're walking past Trinity Churchyard someday in New York. Ah, Sidney, Sidney, liest thou here, it reads. I remember how Sidney laughed as he tapped away at the inscription. Yes, the little lamp has taken me many places. Then my books, they say, are accurate, marvels of detail. I wonder, did the Irishman in Spanish uniform ever visit this age on his one excursion into the future? Did the others who owned it before him come and stare curiously at us? Or were they as feared of the future, of seeing the future too soon, as I was? The long years have taken a heavy toll. The Indian arrow in my shoulder at Fort Dearborn, the fever in the swamps with Hernando Cortez' army in Mexico, the slash I got in my leg from the baby dinosaur in Arizona 500,000 years ago, and all the sorrows, all the sadnesses. learned some interesting facts last night. My doctor, Catherine Sprague Hunter, M.D., a practical, hard-headed woman, a friend, my doctor. Last night we sat alone and spoke of many things. Many things.
Of course I believe it, Manfred. I find it difficult to believe it, but yes, I believe it.
Well, I'm glad you do. I was afraid.
I rather envy you.
Don't envy me, Catherine.
Yes?
Too many things on my conscience, things that came about through this lamp, you know. Peter Paul O'Brien that I murdered.
Let's not say murdered, Manfred.
Murdered in 1799. And Conchita.
That you couldn't help, you know.
I don't know. Perhaps if I'd come back sooner.
You never know. If you could have had adequate medical attention, perhaps...
If I could have gone back earlier, taken you back with me.
You couldn't do that.
No. Only myself. I feel a sense of inadequacy, Catherine. I feel that with this amazing power, I should have done something with it. Something for other people instead of for myself alone. I wish...
Your books, you know.
Yes, I know, the books. But after all... And now, after what you told me tonight... It's too late. Isn't it?
I don't know.
What you said...
I said... I'm afraid you haven't too much time, Manfred. I said you'd better begin to set your affairs in order.
They're in order. As much in order as they ever will be.
After you told me the story about the lamp, I wondered.
Wondered?
If perhaps there weren't some loose ends somewhere. Some time, I mean, that might need catching up.
No, I don't think so. No, I think not. But except, as I said, I wish there were at least a few things I could do for someone else.
You know about that, Manfred. I don't.
If I could have taken back a gift of happiness to someone. But I didn't. When I got the lamp, I killed a man. When I met Conchita, I sat and watched Custer's men being slaughtered.
What could you have done?
I might have fought with him. I might have contributed.
Contributed your own death. What good would that have done?
Maybe I'd been happier.
I think not.
I've been handed the greatest opportunity of all time, and what have I done with it?
Manfred, why are you so afraid of the future?
What makes you think I'm afraid of the future?
You are, aren't you?
Not afraid of it.
Yes, you are.
Well, who isn't? The past, that's happened. We know about it. We can take care of ourselves in the past, but the future...
But the future is the place where you might find that gift you want to bring to humanity. To others, if you don't like the pomposity.
I don't know.
Something's there. Something that might help us if we know a little about it.
No.
You say you owe a debt, Manfred.
Yes, but
I don't want to remind you of what I told you tonight, but...
How long have I got, Catherine?
Shall I tell you?
Tell me.
You may have 6 months. Or you may have 10 years.
But 6 months is more likely.
Yes. Yes, it is. Or
what?
Or less.
Catherine, I'm afraid.
It's your decision, Manfred. But there's not much time.
Well, what if I find...
Yes?
Well, if I find I'm dead when I go into the future, would that be suicide?
You might be dead an hour from now, Manfred.
No.
You or I or anyone.
Maybe I wouldn't be able to come back.
You have only to light the lamp, you said.
Well, I know, but they might not let me come back.
I rather think they'd be glad to help us. Because anything we might do with their secret could conceivably help them.
Yes, I suppose. I suppose so.
Well, think it over, Manfred.
I will.
Telephone me in the morning.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. I sat there for a long time, thinking it all over. Something of a shock to be told that you're near the inevitable close of your life. To know that death is so irrevocably near. I think that faded from my mind in those black hours. Only the overpowering curiosity remained. The curiosity that Catherine had set afire in me. I know only that the clock was striking 4 when I pinched out a last cigarette and reached over for the lamp. I was quite calm as I touched the flame of my lighter to the wick. I said aloud, I wish I could see the future. The tiny flame from the lamp cast its beams almost in vain. For the room that I sat in was only a shell of what it had been. The floor was ripped and torn with great jagged holes in it. The walls had almost disappeared. I could look out over the city from any angle. I heard a light from my lamp. It was the only light there was anywhere. I called out. There was no answer. I called again. Still there was nothing but the oppressive silence. I moved. A part of the wall collapsed beside me. And in the east, the first glow of the sunrise brightened the morning, and I put out the light of the lamp. I do not know how long I stood there in the ruined room, unmoving, gazing out on a scene of desolation such as man has never seen before. And as the sun rose higher into the pervertingly dark sky, new scenes of ruin and ashes came into view. There was nothing. The city was gone. As far as the eye could see, desolation. And one living man to view it. I don't know how far into the future I went. I said I wish I could see the future years ago. It may be that the time I'm in is 100 years from your time. 105 or 1 hour. But it's the future. And how shall I come back to you? The lamp is out. There's no way to light it again. My matches. My lighter is on the table in this room somewhere in the past. If I could light the lamp, I could return, and perhaps there's some way that we could work together and plan and eventually avoid this doom which I alone have seen with my own eyes. There might be time. How can I come back? Who's there to light the lamp for me? And for you? The title of today's Quiet Please story was Light the Lamp for Me. It was written and directed by Willis Cooper, and the man who spoke to you was Ernest Chappell. And Pat O'Malley played the Irish soldier, Floyd Buckley was Tiburcio, and the doctor was Kathleen Naday. As usual, music for Quiet Please is played by Albert Berman. And so, until next week at the same time, I'm quietly yours, Ernest Chappell.
And so it seems we've reached midnight. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's story as much as I have. But as the day gives way to tomorrow, and as the fire dies down, the shadows creep ever closer, bringing tonight's midnight campfire to an end. The flames and I will be here waiting the next time the night grows still and another story calls you back. I appreciate you. Until next time, I'm your host, KB, saying good night.